As I was telling you earlier in the show, the province is launching a pilot project to increase speeds, legal limits to 110 kilometers an hour on certain stretches of certain parts of Ontario's highways. And joining me now is auto specialist Tim Demopoulos with 680 News. What will this mean? I mean, there are a couple things that we can examine here, but number one, let's talk about safety, Tim. Do you think increasing the speed limit by 10K an hour would hurt safety?
Well, there's a direct correlation to speed and the collisions and also deaths. So when we look at BC, for instance, the speed limits were increased to 120 kilometers an hour, and we saw a lot more collisions and a lot more fatal collisions as a result.
It doubled, according to one study.
So there's a direct correlation to speed, and honestly, the difference between 100 and 120 kilometers an hour, at 100 kilometers an hour, the likelihood of you surviving a collision is pretty slim. At 120 kilometers an hour, it's actually exponentially less. So it's a real problem when you look at speed and the outcome of a collision, and when we're talking about fatalities.
Now, the transportation minister has said that our highways are actually designed to be safe at 120. Do you think this stretch of highway, for example, would be wise? Would it be wise to increase it to 110?
Look, the traffic is flowing to a degree here, but as we all know, the 401 rarely flows at this rate all the time. So there's a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of danger on these highways during high traffic times. So I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't think 120 kilometers an hour on certain stretches of the highway, including this one, is a safe bet.
I mean 110.
110. That's 110. Right. Yeah, 110.
So let's talk about what they do in other countries. And you were mentioning to me off camera that it's really fascinating. In Germany, for example, they vary the speed according to the weather conditions.
Yeah, so it's all basically, it's a dynamic speed limit. So what they do essentially is they make it condition based. So they scan the roads for accidents, for weather, for traffic flow, and they adjust the speed limit accordingly. So you could be on, you could be on the stretch of the Autobahn where you're going at 200 kilometers an hour, and all of a sudden they figured that there's something going on up front, and they'll slow you right down to like 80 kilometers an hour. So.
And my last question: do you think we'll be using more gas and causing more carbon by increasing the speed?
Yeah, the sweet spot for fuel efficiency is between 50 and 80 kilometers an hour. So when you go at 100 kilometers an hour, you're using more fuel for sure and more emissions. And when you go from 100 to 120 kilometers an hour, it's actually a 20% increase in fuel consumption and also emissions. So it's a real problem from a fuel efficiency, an emissions standpoint, and a safety standpoint.
Interesting when we're locked in a battle, this province with the federal government over carbon pricing.
For sure.
Thank you very much, Tim, for joining us.
Thank you.